Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave and welcome to today's video. Now if you've been following the channel, you may have noticed that in the last video I was on my John Deere tractor with the mini tiller and we were doing some work on those beds where my wax flowers unfortunately died. And today in this video I'm going to follow that up and do some more preparation, and we're going to plant some roses today. So I'm just heading over to the shed and I'll get the mini digger and we'll get into it. Okay, I'll jump on the mini excavator now, and I think I've still got on, have I or not? Yes, I've still got my auger drive on the front, and that was on there from, what was I doing last? I was putting the holes down for the camellia trees, that's right. So I've still got that on the end, so it just makes it a bit easier to use it before I take it off. So I'll just fire up the UHI mini digger here. Give it a little bit of glow plug time. Not a great deal. About how much? About now. Just grab my tape measure. Very slowly we're on our way over to where the roses are going to be planted, and yeah, the mini digger doesn't go that fast. Actually, it would be nice if I had on the front here on this bar like a rubber strap or something that I could actually pull it back and tie it around my travel motor levers here, so you didn't have to keep your hands on the controls all the time just to move forward. Now you may remember these are the rows that I tilled a couple of weeks ago. I was using my John Deere tractor and the Hayes tiller, and we tilled up these rows. We took the old wax flower plants out and we re-tilled this soil a number of times, and this is where I'm going to put my new bed of roses into this outside row. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with those other two yet, but just concentrating on this area here. Now when we tilled the soil up, I did show that the soil itself looked quite good, but the tiller will only go down about 5, maybe maximum of 6 inches into the soil and mixes that soil up. Now the trouble here, our clay layer is quite high to the surface, and we've only have about 4 inches of topsoil on the top of the ground before it gets into a really nasty clay layer. So I just pulled some of the soil back, and I can see here that where the tiller stops digging about 6 inches down, it gets into this clay soil here. So my plan of attack is to use the Mini X here and the auger drive on the front. And what I'm going to do is actually bore down a hole into the clay and then try and lift all of that clay soil out of the hole. I'll put it in a wheelbarrow and take it away somewhere. And then with my garden mix and my compost mix, I'm going to fill that hole, and hopefully that'll give me a better place to put my new plants into. I'm just going to put a mark on the soil. I think I'll put my first hole about here. Yeah, that'll do. About there. And then I'm going to measure, I think, about 1 metre apart. I think that's what we agreed to do. Don't know what the beeping's about. They're pouring concrete next door. Another one about there. I've got, I think, 5 or 6 plants to put in. I'm not going to have enough to do the whole row, but that doesn't really matter. I can always come back and we can add to them. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, is it? 4, 5, 6. It's just sprayed my boot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more for good luck. I'll make it 8. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now what I'm going to do is everywhere where I've got a hole, Should actually get a shovel, I suppose. I'm just going to pull this dirt back here just so I can get in there with the auger drive. That's all right, that's one there. I suppose I could use a shovel or something, couldn't I? That'd be the sensible way of doing stuff. I'm sure people are sitting at home going, no, that's wrong. That's wrong, you're doing it all wrong. And I sort of know that already, so that's all right. The soil here actually is a little bit better than what it is for my lavender that's probably about 50 metres away. You can see here that this stuff's still nice and black. The soil up the end or over there was really grey and lifeless looking stuff. And I think that's probably a reason why eventually a lot of the lavender's dying over there. But this is a new method I'm going to try here of digging a big hole down and putting good soil, like 3 foot deep, so the plants can sort of just work their way down into this hole. And if it does work, and I think it will work, is I might try and do the same for when I replant some lavender. I might do the same thing as well. Right, that's pretty good. Now, where do I put this? Where I can capture the soil, I wonder. Maybe around this side. If I put it between the rows, does that work? It's pretty tight, isn't it? Okay. Swing this around, try not to hit the wheelbarrow. Yeah, I can do that, I think. See how I'm going for position-wise here. Wheelbarrow's a little bit close, isn't it? Just move that across a bit. Otherwise I'll end up taking a chunk out of the side of my wheelbarrow. So once again, the plan here is to dig down and not shake off all of that clay that's going to be on that drive, but try and pick it up, put it over my wheelbarrow and then pull the clay soil off, so I've got just a hole, if you like. Okay, let's see how we go. Question, is there a water pipe under here somewhere? A quick look around and no, I'm good. Interesting to see what the soil's like when it comes out. Oh, now I'm just going to try and lift it straight up, and hopefully if there's any of that bad soil I can just get it into my wheelbarrow rather than having it fall back in the hole. Gently, gently. Go forward a little bit. Oh, it's got to go up a bit more. Okay. Let's have a look at that. So you can see there, that's a big chunk of like a yellow clay. It's very strong. So we don't want to grow into that. So all of this stuff here I'm just going to pull off here, and the rest of it is quite wet clay. From here up it's not too bad, it's still wet. You know, I can make a, if you can see that, I make a ball of clay like that. Which I don't want. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some plants that'll love to grow into that sort of soil, and I've noticed here that all our native eucalypts and ironbark trees, they love this sort of soil. I think they must have very deep roots that go right down into the wet clay because they love it. Anyway, that's not too bad. I might just clean that hole out again and I think we'll be right. So this is the hole there. You can see it goes down probably, I don't know, 3 feet or something like that. I suppose I could try and dig it a little bit deeper, but it's only going to get into wetter clay. Yeah, but that's all right, and that's how much I took out of it. Yeah, all right, we'll just move on and do the rest of them. Going to put this soil up the back here. I've got a composting bin which I haven't been using for a while, but I think what I'll do is I'll put the clay soil here and I can then mix it in with some compost when I make some compost, and that might just break some of that clay down. I can mix some gypsum in there and some lime, and that should break that down and turn it back into good soil. Oh, but you can see how clay this stuff is. Like, you can just make clay balls out of it. It's very, very high content of clay in there. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to a new day here on the farm. Nice blue sky, sunny day today. We finished off yesterday. It was quite overcast and cold. You could probably see that in the pictures, and at the end of the day it ended up raining quite a bit and put a little bit of water in my holes, but that's okay. But I got the job done. We got all our holes sunk. Let's just have another look in. You probably can't see much if I show you in there. May be able to see that there's water down in the bottom, and I'm not too sure if that's the rain from last night or just that the water has come out of the clay. Anyway, job's done, and not too sure what I'm going to do with the rest of this row. The plan is to put roses in here, and people are going to probably ask, well, why are you planting roses? Well, I guess the answer is why not. Mrs. Tree Change Farmer likes roses, so we're going to plant some roses. Whether we try and, you know, sell them commercially as fresh flowers, I don't know. I mean, we're trying lots of different things on the farm here, and some things are working and some things aren't. The final job I did late last night was to tip out my garden mix that was in the mini truck, and I've got it next to my compost, and if you actually look at it, it actually does look like it's about half and half. which is what I wanted. So I'm going to mix this together and make up an ideal brew. I actually looked up last night on the internet what you should plant roses into, and it said that they need a minimum of about 300 millimeters or a foot of nice well-drained loam on the top, and a wet clay as sort of a sub base to it. And that's perfectly what I've got, because I've got a heap of clay and our holes are quite deep, and I think putting this mix of soil in there would be about the best I can get. So I've got it in two separate piles at the minute. I've got the garden mix here, the compost here. I've got a bag of dynamic lifter pellets, which is quite a mild type of soil conditioner. I think I might add some of that into it. And I have my shovel. So I could actually stand here for about an hour or so and mix that all together, or I could use my tractor. Makes more sense. Makes it easier too. Bag of dynamic lifter in the back there. I actually forgot where I'd put it, and the other day I was looking for it, and of course I couldn't find it until I noticed it was sitting in the back of the golf cart. So I'm just going to put a little bit of dynamic lifter into the soil mix. It's not, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a fertilizer as such. I would probably just call it a soil conditioner. It just sort of helps the structure of the soil a little bit. I'll show you the back of the bag, and the NPK of it is quite low and it's quite mild. It's usually good just for adding to plant mix, just to give it a bit of a boost along. And I put it down the bottom of the holes, and then roots, when they hit them in however many months, get a bit of a boost. So I'll get it out. However, I wedged it in there. Let me just turn the tractor off for a minute. Okay, it makes a bit more things. So if you look at the NPK, so the mixture of NPK, I don't know whether you can see that. So N is nitrogen, P is phosphorus, and K is potassium. So the mix of this is 3.6 nitrogen, 1.1 phosphorus, and 1.7. So what's that, 4-1-2 maybe mix. So as a fertilizer, it's not great, it's not strong, you get a lot of stronger stuff, but really it's great for all sorts of conditioning. I'm just looking at here, native shrubs, flower beds, all sorts of stuff written here. Does it say anything about roses? Fruit trees, potted plants, trees, shrubs. So it says apply 100 grams per square metre in spring and autumn. So anyway, let's chuck some of this on. Just going to bring it over here. The bag's open already, and just dive in with my hand and just get a couple of handfuls of it. So that's what it looks like. I'm sure people in Australia would know what dynamic lifter is. It's all sorts of sort of chook poo and all sorts of things mixed up with a bit of seaweed stuff in there, and yeah, you can go through quite a lot of it. You can use it on the veggie patch quite a lot as well. It's good stuff. All right, that'll do us. I'll just give that another quick mix, and we'll put it on our row. Okay, that's got most of it, although I did manage to completely miss this hole, so I'll just use my shovel and I'll just fill some of that in and probably just spread the rest of this out so it's about even. But it all looks good. It smells fantastic. Wish you could get a sniff of it. It's very nice smell. Just going to work this new soil mix into my holes, make sure my holes are nice and filled, which I think they are. Any grass that I can see I'll pull out because there is still a little bit of grass in there. And one thing I noticed this morning when I was driving the tractor around was we had a little bit of rain last night, not much, and I could still see lots of puddles like that are just on the grass. And it's been a wet quite a bit lately, and what happens with this soil where I am here is the clay gets wet and then the water doesn't soak in, it just sort of sits on the top of on the ground. And the other side of that is that in summer, when we have like 42, 43 degrees Celsius, what's that in Fahrenheit? Bloody hot. I'll put it on the screen what it is in Fahrenheit. And when it gets to that sort of temperature, if it stays that long or for too long, the soil then completely dries out, even the clay layer, and you end up with this horrible, massive, solid, like concrete that you can't dig a hole in, and you certainly can't grow anything into. And I'm in a bit of a conundrum, really. It's a good word, that, conundrum. It's actually an Aboriginal word meaning no idea. And I'm a bit of a conundrum of knowing actually what to do. I mean, do you keep the clay always wet so you can grow into it, but then if it's too wet, do the plants not like that? I don't know. Maybe some of the viewers that live in really heavy clay soil might be able to give me some guidance of how they work around the problem. But I think what we've done is going to give our new plants probably the best start they're going to get in this soil. I mean, we're in the Hunter Valley, which is wine growing territory, but we're on the wrong side of the Hunter Valley. There's a good side where the soil is nice, rich, red volcanic soil where they grow all the grapes and make fantastic wines. And then we have the soil on this side of the valley that's rubbish, and it's really hard to grow anything in it. It grows good weeds, but it's very hard to grow anything else. Anyway, I think that's pretty good. Well, what have we got there? Centipede. Magpies are like that. I might just pull some of this dirt down this way a bit. Yeah, I think that'll do us. It's our typical rows we're putting in. I bought in this bag thing, so it's got something around the roots. It's not bare rooted, but yeah, we'll cut it open and have a look, see what it is. So the idea of this is that we're having, I think we're starting at white, and then light pink, darker pink, and then red and crimson. So it'll be sort of like a red to white fade along here. That's the plan. Well, it's got good roots on it, hasn't it?
Yeah, they usually do quite well when they go in from this.
I thought they might be bare rooted. I thought they sell them without any sort of soil around them at all.
Oh, well, it's just a wrapping. Keep them moist.
Okay. Is this the white one, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. White. Is it deep enough?
One more scoop.
One more. There's always one more.
Yeah.
There?
Think about how this is going to go. That probably.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right.
All good.
Yeah, well, it's about the best we can do, I think. Well, there we are. We've put our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roses in. We've got a few more to do, and we have one that we're going to dig out and transplant from the front of the house. It's not growing so well. It's in the shade too much, and I'm going to bring it out here and it'll do fine. So there we are. That's our rose planting experiment, if you like. Stay tuned to the channel and see whether they keep growing. I think they will. I mean, they've got, I think, a pretty good medium there to grow in. I think the soil's pretty good, and we're just heading into spring where we are, and the weather should be great. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching the video, everybody. I appreciate all your support. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.